Hello and welcome to Northwest Newsweek. A decision has been made regarding the location of a new amalgamated ambulance base along the North Shore. Officials with Superior North EMS have been trying to decide whether to build it in Terrace Bay or Schreiber, and after years of debate about the merger, Terrace Bay has been chosen for the new state-of-the-art building. Justin Hardy reports.
Terrace Bay and Schreiber have been pushing hard to get the new station built in their communities ever since the controversial decision to merge the existing facilities in the neighboring municipalities. After much debate, the final decision on the location was announced Monday during a Thunder Bay City Council meeting following a closed-door session. Superior North EMS Chief Shane Muir says the new station will be an asset to the region as a whole and that the Terrace Bay location made the most sense.
The reason we picked Terrace Bay as a primary site location is based on complete evidence, and that's based on call volumes, unit hour utilization, and CTAS, basically acuity of patient calls. So the evidence favored that location so that we could respond to those high acuity emergencies in the quickest fashion, and that was the reason for making that decision.
The new base will be going up next to the Service Ontario building on Highway 17 in Terrace Bay. The decision to build the new base in the town is a huge win for the community, according to Mayor Paul Malashewski.
Talking to Shane there, we had the majority of calls in the last year, so that will that would obviously help out. We have the hospital right in town here, and we have our major industry in town, and hopefully that's our next step in trying to get that back up and running. So yeah, it's a big plus for our community.
While those in Terrace Bay are celebrating the decision, Schreiber residents aren't too happy with the impending loss of their ambulance base. But Schreiber Mayor Kevin Mullen says he hopes the new improved facilities will draw more paramedics to that area.
Definitely, we need more paramedics in the region. We need more paramedics in obviously in Terrace Bay now to run the base. Hopefully that's a huge factor. Hopefully it's a drawing card. That's for sure.
Construction and completion is still a ways off as site evaluation and other pre-construction work is still taking place. Mir does expect to put the project out to tender very shortly. Justin Hardy, TBT News.
After months of grief, the family of a woman who died in Nipigon in October are speaking out. Vanessa Stacy Geisler drowned in the lagoon, which connects with the Nipigon River. The OPP have not ruled out foul play, as another person was present when she ended up in the water. Her family believes it's the explanation for her death. Brendan Miller reports.
I'm extremely heartbroken by her passing, and she was just a great person.
On October 11th, police in Nipigon received a call about a person in distress in the water in the lagoon. The first arriving officers could not locate the person, so the OPP's emergency response team and underwater search and rescue unit were called in. The next day, they recovered the body of 34-year-old Vanessa Stacy Geisler. The investigation into her death is still ongoing. However, OPP recently announced that foul play cannot be ruled out. Vanessa's sister, Giselle Tsatsakilis, suspects the person she was with at the time had something to do with it.
She did not like the water. So for me to try to understand how she got into the water by herself is just not fathomable for me. Like, I just can't see her doing this. What I think happened is she went down to the water to just get away for the morning, because I know she was planning a Thanksgiving dinner with the family that she was staying with. Apparently she met somebody on the road and they had some drinks together, and I don't really understand what happened next.
Police did question the individual that Vanessa Stacy Geisler was with. However, they have not provided the media with any information about the individual's accounts of what occurred. Tsatsakilis is not satisfied with how the investigation is being handled and would like to know if any progress is being made, even if none is.
So when I went to Nipigon, the person who was on the case at the time gave us some information, and the information that I got didn't really stand well with me, because it didn't seem like they collected the evidence that should have been collected at the time. Well, honestly, it would be nice if they stayed in touch with us at least once a week just to give us a quick update, even if they didn't have anything, but just to check in.
Tsatsakilis is growing ever more frustrated by the lack of communication. She recently posted on a Nipigon-focused Facebook page asking anyone in the community with information to come forward and contact OPP to help her and her family get a confirmed answer on how her sister died. Brendan Miller, TBT News.
It's been over 1 year since Melanie Lappish went missing in the Fort Frances area. And now there's a $50,000 reward for any information that helps solve her disappearance. Ontario Provincial Police are asking anyone who knows anything to step up and contact them.
The OPP is open to any information that the public has. We're confident that somebody out there knows something, and for the sake of Melanie's family, we'd really like to bring her home. So we're really encouraging people to come forward with the information that they may have.
Lappish was last seen in Fort Frances around 9 p.m. on February 26 of 2024. She's described as 5'9", 110 pounds, with blue-green eyes, long dirty blonde hair, a nose ring, last wearing a gray sweater, blue jeans, and a toque. The Rainy River District OPP began investigating on March 9th of last year. McCleary says foul play may have been involved in Lappish's disappearance.
Right now, due to the circumstances, it is being treated as suspicious. So until there's other evidence to prove otherwise, we're treating it as a suspicious missing person case.
Anyone who has seen Melanie Lappish or have any information on her last whereabouts should reach out to the OPP or Crime Stoppers. A regional union leader says many local sawmills and forestry operations are tough enough to handle Donald Trump's tariff battles. But he warns that a full-blown recession in the U.S. could hit the industry hard. Justin Hardy reports.
All this extra cost is going to be passed down to the consumers and the home builders. So there's not really anybody benefiting from this.
Sawmills and other forestry plants with strong diversified operations are in a good spot to weather any fallout from a trade war, according to Stephen Boone, Northern Area Director for Unifor. The union represents workers at sawmills in Thunder Bay and Ear Falls, along with several other forestry operations across the region. He says the more established businesses in the sector are better positioned to handle economic shifts, making them less vulnerable to major disruptions. But there is concern that Trump could drive the U.S. into a recession,
which, impacts everything, because right now everyone's assuming a fairly stable market with some growth, some GDP growth for both Canada and the U.S. If the market continues to tank the way it has been tanking, and he's committed to drive it into the ground, all bets are off in the sense of how deep any potential recession might be or how long.
Unifor also represents workers at pulp and paper facilities in Thunder Bay and Dryden, along with several other operations in the region. According to Boone, the U.S. will likely struggle to find suitable replacements for some of the specialized products made here, which means it should be business as usual for many of our local mills. But some companies are beginning to look for more secure trade elsewhere.
Other mills right now that are selling to the U.S. are looking at Japan, Europe, other markets to ship product there. Which what will happen is that will take supply off the American market and actually drive up price as well by adding tariffs and duties to softwood lumber. The American producers aren't going to maintain prices. I mean, if they're going to see there's pressure on the supply coming from Canada, they will also increase their price to take advantage of that.
The economic situation with our neighbors to the south is always changing, and Boone says the union will stay in close contact with its workers to keep them informed as things unfold. Justin Hardy, TBT News.
It's being called a giant step forward for Gull Bay First Nation. The community on the west side of Lake Nipigon, also known as Kiashki-Zaging Anishinaabe, has recently signed a historic treaty reserve settlement. Chief Wilfred King says he's not able to divulge the dollar figure attached to the claim.
It's a very substantial amount of money, and unfortunately, I'm not at liberty to discuss the amount. I'm still under a confidentiality agreement, but it's a lot of money. There will be a per capita distribution to adult and children members, and also we put aside money for future development and long-term investments for our community.
Gull Bay has over 1,600 members, including around 400 who live on the reserve. The financial settlement with Ottawa compensates Gull Bay for the loss of use of their lands, as the original 1850 treaty did not include a proper survey. The next phase involves the return of Crown land, which King says will make the reserve 10 times larger and much wealthier due to potential logging and mining development. The land claim was first filed in 2001, and King says they had to take two governments to court in 2016 in order to make the settlement happen.
Well, we're very excited. It's a long conclusion to a long process that we've been involved in, and we're quite happy with the end result. 175 years of waiting, it's been a long time, and I think, our people were very resilient when it came to this, and very supportive of the chief and council moving this forward, and we had a very good turnout in the ratification vote, so we're quite thankful to the membership for supporting this.
This week, the federal and provincial governments pledged up to $240 million in conditional funding for a proposed lithium refinery on Mission Island in Thunder Bay. Frontier Lithium CEO Trevor Walker spoke with TBT News and says it's a great cause to celebrate both for the company and the region at large.
It's real win yesterday for Northern Ontario. It's support that's obviously is conditional, and there's still lots of work to get done. But great vote of confidence from both levels of government for sure.
With $120 million in federal funding conditionally secured and another over $120 million in provincial support under negotiation, Frontier Lithium is gaining confidence in its plans. The lithium conversion plant has estimated price tag of nearly $700 million. The company recently purchased the former Ontario Power Generation property on Mission Island for $3.3 million, setting the stage for what would be Ontario's first ever lithium refinery. Walker says if all goes according to plan, the facility could be up and running by 2030, but there's still plenty of work to be done before it becomes a reality.
We're close to pulling the trigger on some definitive feasibility work that's required to support much of the information that's required to turn support and intent into reality and term sheets. So we expect that to take 12, maximum 18 months.
The plant would process lithium mined at Frontier's Pack deposit located north of Red Lake. Once the refinery is up and running, it's expected to bring over 200 direct jobs to Thunder Bay. Time now for a short break. When we come back, the area's two Liberal MPs react to Mark Carney becoming Canada's new Prime Minister.
I kept hearing repeatedly from voters of all different stripes is they felt really safe and comfortable with Mr. Carney's specific experience.
Welcome back. The Thunder Bay area's 2 Liberal MPs are welcoming the election of Mark Carney as party leader and as the new Prime Minister of Canada. Carney won the leadership race last Sunday with a staggering 85.9% of the vote. Justin Hardy has the story.
Your new Liberal leader and the 24th Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney.
Mark Carney was elected leader of the Liberal Party on Sunday, positioning him to succeed Justin Trudeau as Canada's next Prime Minister. With over 151,000 party members voting, he won nearly 86% of the vote. Carney has a strong background in finance, having previously served as governor of both the Bank of Canada and the Bank of England. Thunder Bay Superior North MP Patty Haidu has pointed to his economic expertise as a valuable asset, particularly in light of financial challenges related to the U.S.
What I kept hearing repeatedly from voters of all different stripes is they felt really safe and comfortable with Mr. Carney's specific experience in economic turbulence. What they said was that they felt we needed a leader at this time that was more than 3-word slogans, more than personal insults, but certainly had the depth of character and experience to meet the challenges head on that we're seeing.
Carney is set to become Canada's 6th ever Prime Minister to take office while not holding a seat in the House of Commons. To officially become a sitting member of Parliament, he'll need to win either a by-election or a general election. Thunder Bay Rainy River MP Marcus Pulowski says he believes Carney's more than capable of handling the challenge of an election when it comes.
I've personally felt there's a great thirst in this country for the reasonable middle ground politically. I think people are tired of listening to the angry left and the angry right with their blowhorns and pushing to the extreme. I think people really want somebody who, as I say, occupies that reasonable middle ground. I think they want a person who's competent, a person with the education, the life experience.
There's no word yet on whether Carney will call an early election or if the opposition parties will force a non-confidence vote, but Canadians will definitely be heading to the polls by October 20th. That's the latest the federal government can legally wait. Justin Hardy, TBT News.
Whenever the federal election is held, the New Democrats in Thunder Bay Superior North have their candidate in place. Joy Wakefield received the NDP nomination at a meeting of party members last Sunday at the North End Rec Center. The legal aid lawyer says she's grateful for all the support she's been shown following her decision to carry the party banner in that riding.
You know, this is something that I'm really passionate about. I've worked for years in this community and, you know, seen some of the worst of what's happening here in terms of the opioid crisis, in terms of, you know, the things that Indigenous people have been facing, in terms of, you know, environmental destruction. And, you know, I want us to reimagine what we can do as a society and what role that the government and laws can play in that. And so it really means the world to me to have people in this room, some of whom have been, you know, hardcore activists over the years for decades, and to have them believe in me, to have them offer financial support to me, to have them say wonderful, kind things about me is really inspiring and encouraging. And
Wakefield says whenever the election is held, she and her team are ready to hit the ground running to try and unseat the Liberal incumbent, Patty Haidu. Construction is underway on a care home in Grassy Narrows First Nation, specifically to treat those suffering from the effects of mercury poisoning, which has been a problem in the community for decades. The federal government is investing $82 million for capital costs and more to support operations down the road. Jessica Clement explains.
After years of lobbying and meeting with the federal government, construction has finally started on a specialized care facility in Grassy Narrows for mercury poisoning victims. Indigenous Services Minister Patty Haidu joined Chief Sherry Ackaby and community members for Wednesday's groundbreaking ceremony.
It was a celebration of a big achievement, but it was also a very poignant moment because obviously the people that will be living in the care home are so deeply affected, and the impact of, you know, industrial mercury poisoning has had generational impact on the community.
Residents have suffered the effects of mercury poisoning since the former owners of the Dryden Mill dumped toxic effluent into the English Waasigan River system in the 60s. Chief Ackaby wasn't available for comment, but in a release said she's glad her people finally have access to dignified care. Once completed, the Mercury Care Home will offer primary and long-term care services, including holistic care, treatment, and rehabilitation.
Grassy Narrows has worked with a number of experts in the area of mercury treatment and really developed a very sophisticated understanding of what they needed to be able to do this well.
The federal government invested $82 million for the 6,500 square foot facility, and through a 30-year agreement, has also committed $68.9 million for ongoing operational support.
What folks were really worried about is setting up a treatment facility as sophisticated as this one, as complex as this one, admitting patients who will need that care in many cases, if not most cases, for a lifetime. And then having a situation where the money runs out. We felt it was really important that Grassy Narrows had that confidence that they would be able to continue to operate over the next decade.
Construction of the Mercury Care Home is expected to be finished by 2027. Jessica Clement, TBT News.
Construction on the $1.2 billion Waasigan transmission line is really starting to gear up. Hydro One officials recently provided an update on Phase 1 of the project. They also hosted a community consultation event in Dryden last Tuesday regarding Phase 2. Justin Hardy has the story.
The 365-kilometer-long Waasigan transmission line project will run from the Lakehead Transmission Station in Shunya to Atikokan, with Phase 2 then running from Atikokan to Dryden. The groundbreaking ceremony was held in Shunya in November. Construction work is now fully underway, as seen in these photos taken near Sapaway in the Atikokan area. The project is creating up to 400 jobs, and Phase 1 is expected to take over a year to complete. Hydro One's VP of Strategic Projects and Partnerships, Sunny Karanakran, says everything's been going along smoothly.
Well, we started construction in December of 2024. There's activities such as establishment of the right-of-way, so a bit of clearing of trees and forest to make way for the transmission line, and some initial access roads and foundation work that's commenced on that first section of line. Those activities will continue on, and we're looking forward to deploying that on Phase 2.
As the next phase of the project approaches, Hydro One is holding an open house in Dryden to provide residents with information and allow them to raise any concerns they may have. Hydro One held similar events in the time leading up to the start of the project. Karen Akron says these events are crucial for keeping a healthy relationship with the communities connected by the line.
We've had a lot of positive feedback and engagement with the public so far on this project, and we've certainly taken that feedback to heart and into consideration in the development of our construction management plans that we use to execute upon this works. So this gives us another touch point and opportunity to meet again with the public and to have them review the actual works that we've got planned in the short to medium term.
Construction of the entire line is planned to be completed in 2027. Justin Hardy, TBT News.
Time now for another short break. We'll have the latest on the new hospital planned for Kenora when we come back. Construction on a new Kenora hospital could start in as little as 3 years after a recent land purchase by Kenora Chief Advisory. The facility would be built on a former sawmill site and would replace Lake of the Woods Hospital. CEO Cheryl O'Flaherty says the new facility will be a huge improvement for their patients.
It will be designed to meet code, so larger, wider hallways, all the rooms will be private rooms for patients with their own private bathrooms, so it helps with infection control policies and just generally more patient and family-centered focus on those rooms.
The new hospital would be built on 30 acres of the 118 acres of land recently purchased by the Kenora Chiefs Advisory along Lakeview Drive. The site would also be home to a planned 160-bed Weewas Elders and Senior Care facility. Lake of the Woods Hospital and the Kenora Chiefs Advisory make up all the Nation Health partners. Chief Advisory Joe Barnes says the partnership on this project will improve health care for everyone in the Kenora district.
Well, I think it started in ceremony. We've talked about, or we sat around the tables talking about creating partnerships. We're part of an OHT as well. But that all went to ceremony, and it happened in First Nation community, a local First Nation community, and we all signed on to be partners on creating a new hospital, a new healthcare system for all.
Last year, the Ford government posted on social media that it would build the new hospital in Kenora, but first the project needs provincial approval to move on to stage 2, which includes detailed designs as well as the tendering of the construction documents. That's all for this edition of Northwest Newsweek. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time.